ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। We are studying Srimad-bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Narad's instructions to Vyasadeva. We completed first 19 verses in which we discussed about Vyasa's meditation, coming of Narad Muni, Narad inquiring from Vyasa the reason of his despondency, and Vyasa admits that he was not satisfied. So Narad Muni then points out his defects. He mentions that you overemphasize dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and you did not sufficiently glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna in pure devotional service. Then Narad Muni explains to Vyasa the glory of bhakti, which we covered in verses 12 to 19. Now, today, we will discuss verses 20 to 29, in which in verses 20, 21, and 22, Narad Muni gives an instruction, a direct instruction to Vyasadeva that he should do the service of describing the glories of the Supreme Lord, describing pure devotional service. And then in verses 23, he will express about his own service to his spiritual masters, Bhakti-Vedantas. And in further verses 24 to 29, we'll discuss about Narad Muni's evolution as a bhakta, as a sadhaka from his past life. Looking at verse number 20, which is the first instruction of Narada to Vyas. Idam hi vishwan bhagavani vetaro yato jagat sthana nirodha sambhavaha tadhi swayam veda bhavam stathapite pradesha matram bhavatah pradarshitam. The Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is himself this cosmos, and still he is aloof from it. Quite similar to verses that come in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, Maya tatam idam sarvam, that I am everywhere, I am supporting the universe, I am still aloof from it. You can refer to those verses later, 9.3, 4, 5 of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna speaks about his connection and at the same time disconnection from the material world. From him only has this cosmic manifestation emanated. In him it rests, and unto him it enters after annihilation. We know this. This is description of Purusha avatar. From Mahavishnu, the cosmic manifestation emanates, it stays in him, and when dissolution happens, then it goes back into Mahavishnu. Your good self knows all about this. I have given only a synopsis. So Narada is just giving an indication that what you should be describing, what you should be telling, you should be describing about the pastimes of the different forms of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord has different forms, and he's asking them to describe that in detail. Purport. For a pure devotee, the conception of Mukunda, Lord Sri Krishna, is both personal and impersonal. Yes, this is to be understood that we, the followers of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accept that absolute truth, Param Satya, is personal and also impersonal. We are neither Dvaitavadis nor are we Advaitavadis. We are followers of Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva. The followers of Shankaracharya, they are Advaitavadis. They will say there is only one aspect, and that is impersonal aspect. And the Dvaitavadis, they will say there is only one aspect, the personal aspect. But Achinta Bheda Bhed Tattva is we accept both the aspects because the Lord is complete, so he should have everything, personal as well as impersonal. However, we give more emphasis to personal aspect. What about Brahmavadis? They also accept both the aspects, but then they give more emphasis to impersonal aspect. The impersonal cosmic situation is also Mukunda because it is the emanation of the energy of Mukunda. This we studied in Ishopanishad. For example, a tree is a complete unit, whereas the leaves and the branches of the tree are emanated parts and parcels of the tree. The leaves and branches of the tree are also the tree, but the tree itself is neither the leaves nor the branches. So basically, it's a way of telling, just like the hand is also a body. When someone is pointing to someone's hand, one can say that your body is like this. However, the hand is also not the complete body. The Vedic version that the whole cosmic creation is nothing but Brahman means that since everything is emanating from the Supreme Brahman, nothing is apart from him. Similarly, the part and parcel hands and legs are called the body, but the body as the whole unit is neither the hands nor the legs. The Lord is the transcendental form of eternity, cognition, and beauty, and thus the creation of the energy of the Lord appears to be partially eternal, full of knowledge, and beautiful also. The captivated conditioned souls under the influence of the external energy are therefore entrapped in the network of the material nature. They accept this as all in all, for they have no information of the Lord, who is the primeval cause, nor have they information that the parts and parcels of the body, being detached from the whole body, are no longer the same hand or leg as when attached to the body. Similarly, a godless civilization, detached from the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is just like a detached hand or leg. This analogy has come before in Srimad-bhagavatam itself. And this analogy is also given by Srila Prabhupada in Sri Ishopanishad, that when the parts of the body are detached from the body, then they don't function as parts and parcels anymore. Such parts and parcels may appear like hands and legs, but they have no efficiency. The devotee of the Lord Srila Vyasadeva knows this very well. He is further advised by Srila Narada to expand the idea so that the entrapped conditioned souls may take lessons from him to understand the Supreme Lord as the primeval cause. Now, this is the whole subject matter of philosophical research to find out the cause, karana. What is the cause of anything? Different philosophers will reach to different conclusion. Some will say material nature is itself the cause. Someone will say the attraction between male and female is the cause. Someone will say Brahma Jyoti is the cause. But those who know the complete teaching of Vedas, they will conclude that Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Swayam, is the cause of everything. And that's what Lord Brahma says, Sarva Karana Karanam. Understanding the cause. When we study the scripture and the scripture says to us that one should inquire about the absolute truth, one should search the reality, the truth. The whole purport to that instruction is try to find out the cause. What is the supreme cause behind anything? And we should take this as a sutra. Like anything happens to my life, what do I consider as the cause? I may say it's my karma. I may say it's the karma of people around me. I may say so many things. But a pure devotee of Krishna will say, anything that's happening in my life, it is because of Krishna's mercy. That is the ultimate cause. It is Krishna's mercy. It is Krishna's creation for me to teach me some lesson, either to appreciate, encourage me, or to chastise me, punish me, but for my better. So a pure devotee sees in that way. So this depends on the level of one's consciousness. What do we consider as the cause? What is the cause of anything that happens to me? Like when we study in Srimad-bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj was on a tour. He was going around in his kingdom and he comes across this cow and bull. And he sees that the legs of the bull are not strong enough. The bull has been beaten by someone and is not able to even stand properly. So he inquires from the bull, what is the cause of your this current pitiable situation? And then the bull says, well, someone may say it's because of my karma, or someone may say this or that. But ultimately, it's very difficult to decide what is the cause of this. Then Parikshit Maharaj says, you must be personified dharma, because only dharma can speak like that. So here we can understand that on the basis of one's consciousness, one is able to evaluate the things that go around me in this life and come to a conclusion why it is happening to me. A conditioned soul who is very, very conditioned will think if it's wrong that's happening to me, it's because of others. And if it is good, something is happening to me, it's all because of me. But a little elevated soul will not think like that. A little elevated soul will say, well, it's because of my karma. But a very advanced soul will say, it's all because of Krishna, Krishna's mercy. It is Krishna who has created this situation in my life because Krishna wants me to come closer to him. That's how a pure devotee will see. What is the cause? Karan. Reading further. According to the Vedic version, the Lord is naturally fully powerful, and thus his supreme energies are always perfect and identical with him. Both the spiritual and the material skies and their paraphernalia are emanations of the internal and external energies of the Lord. The external energy is comparatively inferior, whereas the internal potency is superior. The superior energy is living force, and therefore she is completely identical. But the external energy being inert is partially identical, Parashakti and Aparashakti. But both the energies are neither equal to nor greater than the Lord, who is the generator of all energies. Such energies are always under his control, exactly as electrical energy, however powerful it may be, is always under the control of the engineer. The human being and all other living beings are products of his internal energies. Thus, the living beings is also identical with the Lord, but he is never equal or superior to the personality of Godhead. The Lord and living beings are all individual persons, With the help of the material energies, the living beings are also creating something, but none of their creations are equal or superior to the creations of the Lord. Hmm. This we all know very well, that we cannot create the way Krishna creates. Um, Prabhupada gives example. The human being may create a small, playful Sputnik and may throw it in outer space, but that does not mean that he can create a planet like the Earth or Moon and float it in the air as the Lord does. Men with a poor fund of knowledge claim to be equal to the Lord. They are never equal to the Lord. This is never to be. The human being, after attaining complete perfection, may achieve a large percentage of the qualities of the Lord, say up to 78%. But it is never possible to surpass the Lord or become equal with him. In a diseased condition only, the foolish being claims to be one with the Lord and thus becomes misled by the illusory energy. So when we want to become equal to God, that's when we are in Maya. The idea of being into illusion is that I am thinking myself as someone which I am not. So when a living entity begins to desire what is not desirable, the living entity falls into Maya. The living entity tries to be something which he or she cannot be. That's when the illusion falls. The illusion comes. The curtain of illusion comes. That is the reason why every practitioner on the path of Krishna consciousness should be very honest with oneself that where I am, and not try to pose oneself to be at a level where one is not. Hmm. That is very dangerous. That's very risky. One has to be very honest and identify where do I actually stand. That's called being situated in truth. In a disease condition, we read that the misguided living beings therefore must accept the supremacy of the Lord and agree to render loving service to him. For this they have been created. Without this, there cannot be any peace or tranquility in the world. It is advised by Sri Narada to expand this idea in the Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavad Gita also the same idea is explained. Surrender fully unto the lotus feet of the Lord. That is the only business of the perfect human being. Surrender. That's the only business. What does surrender mean? Surrender means that at every moment, I prefer to follow Krishna's plan than my own plan. I prefer to cooperate with Krishna and his plan and the plan of his pure devotees, then to follow my own plan. That's called surrender. That surrender is not something which happens once in a while. That surrender is a every moment activity. Every moment I am surrendered to Krishna's will. That's called surrender. As you say, I will do. So that's what every human being is supposed to do. That is the only business of the perfect human being. It's very simple to understand. Let's say there's a team, a football team or a cricket team, and they have a captain. So if they want to really win the match and they know that their captain is the most qualified to lead them, then they are supposed to obey to the directions of the captain during every single moment of the game. Then they emerge victorious. And if they prefer to not cooperate with the directions of the captain, then the captain will not be pleased with them because they will be creating some kind of problem or obstacles in the plan of the captain. Likewise, Krishna has his plans. Krishna wants to do things in his way. And when we prefer not to cooperate with that, that's where the problem begins. And when we say, yes, I will just do as you say, then Krishna is very happy with us because we are cooperating with his plan. And when we do that, it's not that only he wins or only he rejoices, only he is happy. When we do that, he is happy, the other team members are happy, and we are also happy. And when we don't do that, then we become a source of problems for others around us. That's why we are put in the material world. So you go there, stay aloof, stay away, right? Don't create problem here. That's the whole idea. Next verse number 21. Tvamatmanatmanam avehyamogedrek parasya pumsah paramatmanah kalam ajam prajatam jagatah shivayatan mahanubhavabhyudayodhigam yatam. Your goodness has perfect vision. You yourself can know the super soul personality of Godhead because you are present as the plenary portion of the Lord. Although you are birthless, you have appeared on this earth for the well-being of all people. Please therefore describe the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, more vividly. Purport. Srila Vyasadeva is the empowered plenary portion, which means what? Shakti Aveshavata, incarnation of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. But for this particular yuga, the Vyasadeva is Krishna himself. For other yugas, he is Shakti Veshavata. He descended by his causeless mercy to deliver the fallen souls in the material world. The fallen and forgotten souls are detached from the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The living entities are parts and parcels of the Lord, and they are eternally servitors of the Lord. All the Vedic literatures, therefore, are put into systematic order for the benefit of the fallen souls. And it is the duty of the fallen souls to take advantage of such literatures and be freed from the bondage of material existence. Although formally Srila Narada Rishi is his spiritual master, formally Srila Vyasadeva is not at all dependent on a spiritual master because in essence he is the spiritual master of everyone else. But because he is doing the work of an acharya, he has taught us by his own conduct that one must have a spiritual master, even though he may be God himself. Lord Shri Krishna, Lord Shri Ram, and Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all incarnations of Godhead accepted formal spiritual master. Although by their transcendental nature, they were cognizant of all knowledge. In order to direct people in general to the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, he himself in the incarnation of Vyasadeva is delineating the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Text 22. Idam hi pumsastapasah shutasya va swishtasya shuttasya cha buddhi tattayoho avicyato artha kavibhir nirupito yaduttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Uttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. This thing has come so many times. The Lord is addressed as Uttama shloka. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns, and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. Vyasadeva, in his previous writings, he had emphasized a lot on these things mentioned in this verse: austerity, charity, chanting, sacrifice, Vedas, study. But he did not speak directly about pastimes of Krishna. So here Narada is saying the culmination, the result of doing all these things is one should develop taste to hear about Krishna, to read about Krishna, to speak about Krishna. Actually, that is what marks the level of advancement of a person in Krishna consciousness. If we study Bhagavad Gita with the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he mentions it very distinctly that devotional service basically means engaging in the 9 limbs of bhakti: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. Though Srila Prabhupada translates Karma Yoga as Bhakti Yoga at different places, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, just if people are interested in Karma Yoga, which means they do what they like to do and give the result to Krishna, that is not really that kind of bhakti that will take them back home, back to Godhead. That is not sufficient, just to work and give the results to Krishna. That kind of bhakti will only bring a better material life, nothing more than that. That kind of bhakti will take one to heaven or will give one prosperity in this world. But the bhakti that will take one back home, back to Godhead has to be nirguna. it has to be not just Nishkam Karma Yoga, it has to be Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga means it should be fully engulfed within the 9 activities of Bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. And this a person should understand that just by offering the fruits of one's work to Krishna, one cannot reach to Golokunda. That is very low level of bhakti. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says that's called Karma Yoga or Nishkam Karma Yoga. So here he's saying that you should describe the transcendental descriptions of the Lord. Human intellect is developed for advancement of learning in art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, economics, politics, etc. By culture of such knowledge, the human society can attain perfection of life. This perfection of life culminates in the realization of the Supreme Being, Vishnu. The Shruti therefore directs that those who are actually advanced in learning should aspire for the service of Lord Vishnu. Unfortunately, persons who are enamored by the external beauty of Vishnu Maya do not understand that culmination of perfection or self-realization depends on Vishnu. Vishnu Maya means sense enjoyment, which is transient and miserable. Those who are entrapped by Vishnu Maya utilize advancement of knowledge for sense enjoyment. And that's what the modern day brahmanas of India are doing. They are using their better abilities to become better sense gratifiers. You can see this very easily. The IT industry, the technological development, medical science, wherever people who are excelling in terms of giving bringing new innovative ideas and making life very comfortable for others and themselves, they all somehow or other have connection with Brahminical families. They come from Brahminical families. They are not really working as Brahmanas because their action and their quality is not like a Brahmana so much, but they have those tendencies. And instead of using that tendency to acquire spiritual knowledge, they are using that tendency to acquire better and better material knowledge. And they're using that better material knowledge just to exploit the material nature and be happy. That's what they are doing. So here Prabhupada says, they are using advancement of knowledge for sense enjoyment. You ask people why you want to study? Not because they're interested in education, they're interested in learning. They are studying more just so that they can earn more. That's all. Whereas if you go 100 years ago, in India, still the education system was this, that people who are interested in learning, they wanted to know things because they had that hunger for knowledge. They studied. They never studied for earning money. They studied it as a passion, that we want to know, we want to learn. We want to learn art, we want to learn poetry, we want to learn literature, we want to learn economics, we want to learn science. So they studied, and they studied throughout their life. They never stopped studying. But at present time, we don't find people study for that reason. They just study to get a job. If they get a job without studying, they will go for that also. They don't study to acquire knowledge. So the whole idea is sense enjoyment. Further, Sri Narada Muni has explained that all paraphernalia of the universe is but an emanation from the Lord out of his different energies, because the Lord has set in motion by his inconceivable energy the actions and reactions of the creative manifestation. They have come to be out of his energy, they rest on his energy, and after annihilation, they merge into him. Nothing is therefore different from him, but at the same time, the Lord is always different from them. When advancement of knowledge is applied in the service of the Lord, the whole process becomes absolute. The personality of Godhead and his transcendental name, fame, glory, etc., are all non-different from him. Therefore, all the sages and devotees of the Lord have recommended that The subject matter of art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge should be wholly and solely applied in the service of the Lord. Art, literature, poetry, painting, etc. may be used in glorifying the Lord. The fiction writers, poets, and celebrated literatures are generally engaged in writing of sensuous subjects. But if they turn towards the service of the Lord, they can describe the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Valmiki was a great poet, and similarly, Vyasadeva is a great writer, and both of them have absolutely engaged themselves in delineating the transcendental activities of the Lord, and by doing so have become immortal. Similarly, science and philosophy also should be applied in the service of the Lord. There is no use presenting dry speculative theories for sense gratification. Philosophy and science should be engaged to establish the glory of the Lord. Advanced people are eager to understand the absolute truth through the medium of science, and therefore a great scientist should endeavor to prove the existence of the Lord on a scientific basis. Similarly, philosophical speculation should be utilized to establish the supreme truth as sentient and all-powerful. Similarly, all other branches of knowledge should always be engaged in the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also the same is affirmed. All knowledge not engaged in the service of the Lord is but nescience. Real utilization of advanced knowledge is to establish the glories of the Lord, and that is the real import. Scientific knowledge engaged in the service of the Lord and all similar activities are all factually Hari Kirtan or glorification of the Lord. Text 23. Now, now Narad Muni will start describing about his previous life. Aham puratita bhave bhavam mune dasyastu kashyashana vedavadinam nirupito balaka eva yoginam shushushane pravrishi nirviviksatam. He says, O Muni, in the last millennium I was born as the son of a certain maid servant, engaged in the service of brahmanas, who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. So why did Narad Muni started telling about himself suddenly? He was talking to Vyasadeva about the glory of bhakti and then what Vyasadeva should be doing. Vyasadeva did not ask him to talk about his past life. On his own, Narad Muni is speaking. Why is he speaking? Because Narad Muni wants to convince Vyasadeva by giving an example. So he's giving an example from his own life. He now told Vyasadeva the process. Vyasadeva may say, well, you are telling me the process. Can you also give me a proof that this will work? So Narad Muni is, before Vyasadeva asking, Narad Muni is himself giving the proof. Then I'm giving you example from my life. I went through this and I got benefited. So just like I got transformed, you write the scripture in this particular manner, and those who will study the scripture or read the scripture, they will also be transformed. So he's giving an example. So he's saying, O Muni, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maid servant, Dasi Putra, which means low birth, not the birth in a Brahmana family or Kshatriya family or Vaishya family. Maid servant means Shudra. So born in a low family, he's saying. And she was engaged in the service of Brahmanas. So she must be doing some household activities, cleaning and stuff like that. So she was serving the Brahmanas. They had come as guests who were following the principles of Vedanta. Why? Which means they were sannyasis. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, Chaturmasya, I was engaged in their personal service. Purport. The wonder of an atmosphere surcharged with devotional service to the Lord is briefly described herein by Sri Narad Muni. Prabhupada writes, the wonder of an atmosphere surcharged with devotional service. Wherever sadhus live, that place is a tirtha, that place is a temple, that place is a dham. And when we go to that place, we become surcharged by the purity of that place. We become infected by that purity. He was the son of the most insignificant parentage. He was not properly educated. Still, because his complete energy was engaged in the service of the Lord, he became an immortal sage. Such is the powerful action of devotional service. So this is very important, an important lesson that we must go and physically be a part of sadhu sangha. That's important because one may say, I have deities at my home, I have Tulsi Maharani at my home, and I cook prasadam and I honor prasadam at home, and I have Srimad-bhagavatam at home, and I can study the books, I can hear online classes. But when we go to a place where devotees congregate or sadhus congregate, that place is heavily surcharged with spiritual vibrations. And when we go there, we become affected by it. Staying at home, the whole home is only surcharged by our personal vibrations. That's all. Not more than that. So when we want to make progress, we have to associate with the vibrations of higher quality or higher grade. Then we will make progress. That's why we have to visit temple, we have to visit dham, we have to go to the association of saintly people. Be in their association. Just sit in their association. That's all. That will also purify us to a great extent because the place where they live, that is surcharged with Krishna consciousness. Such is the powerful action of devotional service. The living entities are the marginal energy of the Lord, and therefore they are meant for being properly utilized in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. When this is not done, one situation is called Maya. Therefore, the illusion of Maya is at once dissipated as soon as full energy is converted in the service of the Lord instead of in sense enjoyment. From the personal example of Sri Narada Muni in his previous, it is clear that the service of the Lord begins with the service of the Lord's bona fide servants. First, we serve the devotees and then we serve the Supreme Lord. The Lord says that the service of his servants is greater than his personal service. Service of the devotee is more valuable than the service of the Lord. One should therefore choose a bona fide servant of the Lord, constantly engaged in his service, accept such a servant as the spiritual master, and engage himself in the spiritual master's service. Such a spiritual master is the transparent medium by which to visualize the Lord, who is beyond the conception of the material senses. By service of the bona fide spiritual master, the Lord consents to reveal himself in proportion to the service rendered. Now, this is something very important to understand. Many people do not understand this thing, and that's why they do not make sufficient progress also. They think we can directly approach Krishna because, after all, Krishna is everyone's God. He's everyone's father. He's everyone's mother. So I can directly approach Krishna. And that's what they try to do. Have a relationship with Krishna directly, but not through some Vaishnava, not through some devotee. That process will also work, but it will take more time because it will draw Krishna's attention at a slower pace. However, when we approach Krishna through Krishna's devotees, that draws Krishna's attention more fast, quickly, or quicker. Why so? Because the Lord becomes very happy when we assist those who are serving the Supreme Lord. He becomes very, very happy. So when we approach Krishna through Krishna's pure devotees, Krishna's attention comes more towards us. And then Krishna reveals himself more. As Prabhupada says, it depends on the proportion of the service rendered. Very important point to note that the amount of service that we are giving to Krishna is also important. Because Krishna is going to keep a record how much service you have rendered. And according to that, he will reciprocate. That's how it has to be. That's the natural system. I mean, how a person would evaluate someone else on the basis of the contribution, the input, how much you are giving. Now here, when you say how much you are giving, it doesn't just mean about how much money you are giving. It's about how much attention you are giving, how much consciousness you are giving, how much time you are giving, how much energy you are giving, your mind, your body, your intellect, yourself. How much are we giving to Krishna? On that basis, Krishna is going to evaluate and reciprocate. Exactly on that basis, right? So the more a person is giving, then the reciprocation from Krishna is also more. Then one's realization of Krishna is also more. Then one will understand Krishna also better. It's all about what is my input, how much am I putting into it, into that relationship. Here in this world, we see that if there are people living together and those people, they start developing relationship with one another, how will someone become your best friend? That person will become your best friend if that person is giving more time to you, more services to you, more favors to you, understands you more, thinks about you, helps you, so that person becomes the best friend. Among so many people who are around, that person becomes the chosen one. Likewise, when it comes to having a relationship with Krishna, it depends on how much are we giving to Krishna, how much are we investing in that relationship with Krishna. On that basis, Krishna will reciprocate. Now, our problem is that we are putting our investment everywhere and anywhere. And then we have this complaint, why am I not making progress in Krishna consciousness? Or why am I not realizing Krishna so much? Because we are not investing there. So the return is also not there. And the more a person will invest in that, the return will also come from Krishna's end. Right? Krishna will evaluate, Krishna calculates. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. He will give on that basis. So those who are investing in Krishna's name, those who are investing in remembering Krishna, serving Krishna, contributing to Krishna's mission, Krishna is reciprocating also more with them. How does that reciprocation come? That reciprocation comes in the form of realization. That reciprocation comes in the form of seeing Krishna's mercy. The reciprocation comes in the form of taste. One will find chanting more sweet. One will find reading and hearing Srimad-bhagavatam more sweet. One will find speaking about Krishna more sweet. When one will take darshan of Krishna, then instead of seeing the marble deity, one will see, oh, there is a living person standing here, and that person can smile, that person can look, that person can talk, that person can hear. One will see all of that. One will get those reciprocations from Krishna if one is investing in that relationship. And if one is not investing in that relationship, then one will not get those reciprocations from Krishna. So here in the purport, Prabhupada explains, where is it gone? Okay, let me share again. Why is it not sharing now? Okay. Utilization of the human energy in the service of the Lord is the progressive path of salvation. The whole cosmic creation becomes at once identical with the Lord as soon as service in relation with the Lord is rendered under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. The expert spiritual master knows the art of utilizing everything to glorify the Lord, and therefore under his guidance, the whole world can be turned into the spiritual abode by the divine grace of the Lord's servant. Next verse. Te maya pita khila chapaler bhake dante dhrita kridanake nuvartini chakruhu kripam yadyapi tulya darshanaha shushrushamane munayalpabhashini. Although they were impartial by nature, He's saying although they were impartial by nature. Why is he saying like that? Because Vyasadeva may tell to Narad Muni that why did they give you this special blessing? Why did they offer the grace unto you? Was there something special about you that caught their attention and they became a bit inclined towards you? So Narada says, no, the sadhus are not like that. Sadhus are impartial. Anyone who comes to a sadhu, they will try to do something good to them. They don't choose on material grounds that this person is rich, this person is poor, this person is ugly, this person is beautiful, this person is Indian, non-Indian, man, woman. They don't see all of that. They are impartial by nature, which means anyone who comes to them, they try to do good to them. So he's saying they are impartial. Those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. Though they are impartial, they gave me their causeless mercy. Now then he says, but though they are impartial, still they saw certain things in me which might have inspired them to behave with me in a particular manner, to deal with me in a particular manner. And what are those things? As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled. So here Narad Muni is teaching us, about the qualities of a good student or a good disciple. A good disciple or a good student should be self-controlled, right? Why a good disciple or a good student should be self-controlled? Because if one is not having this quality, one can never become a good servant. A good servant has to have control over one's mind and senses. Otherwise, one will be negligent, one will not be attentive to the service. When you're serving a great person, you have to be very, very alert and attentive because they demand or expect such kind of attention. If you are, let's say, working with the Prime Minister of the country, you have to be very, very careful about every single word you speak, every single step you take, every single thing you do, because it matters a lot. You are with the Prime Minister. Likewise, when we are with pure devotees of Krishna, when we are with our spiritual master, we have to be really, really composed. If we are not, we will create disturbance more than doing seva. And if you do that, then that will be an offense. That will become a disservice. That's why a more self-controlled person, a more sober person, a more serious person will become a better disciple, a better servant, a better student. They'll be able to serve the master attentively, where just even one glance of the master will be enough for them to know what am I supposed to do. And that is only possible if you are really, really attentive. And for that, one has to be self-controlled. If one is not self-controlled, what will happen? The senses will drag away one's attention to different subjects. The mind will drag away one's attention to different subjects. And that attention will not be towards the seva or towards that person whom I am trying to serve. Like giving a simple example, if someone is talking to you and during that time you are spaced out, which means you're checking your mobile phone or you're doing something and doing that thing, then that person will say, hey, come on, if you're not interested in listening, then I don't want to talk. So likewise, when we are serving the Supreme Lord or serving great devotees, they expect that kind of attention. So a person who is not self-controlled will not be able to do justice. So Narada is saying here, this is first quality. I was self-controlled, composed, and had no attachment for sports. Now that's quite interesting. A child not having attachment for sports. 5-year-old boy not attached for sports. That's not ordinary. Generally, kids like to play. That's what they like to do. Nothing else they want to do. But he was just 5 years old and he doesn't like to play sports, which means he was quite serious about life. He was not frivolous. Not frivolous. Even though I was a boy. So Narada is telling, I was a boy, yet I was not attached to playing sports. I was self-controlled. In addition, I was not naughty and I did not speak more than required. So he's saying that though the Bhakti Vedantas, they are impartial in nature, but definitely because of these things, they might have got inspired to teach me more than what they would have taught me if I did not have these qualities. It's not that if that boy did not have these qualities, then the association of the sages would not have brought any benefit. Certainly, it would bring some benefit. But because he had these qualities, they were inspired to give more to him. And this is what we need to understand. The quality of a disciple I am will decide the amount of mercy that will flow from the spiritual master. Because how much he can give, there's no limit to that. But how much I can take, that depends on my level. There's this interesting example given by one sadhu that one day a person brings a big pot, a big container of sweet rice to distribute. Okay? He makes an announcement. I am coming to the village and I'll give as much sweet rice as you want. Take. I am ready to give as much as you want. So people, they come out of their house bringing different containers. Some person brings 20 ml cup. Someone brings 200. Someone brings 2-liter pot. Someone brings 10-liter container. So that person says, I'll give as much as you like. But how much the person will receive will depend on the size of the container that the person brought. So the pure devotee of Krishna can give us mercy in unlimited amount. Krishna can also give us mercy in unlimited amount. But the point is, what size of container you are taking to him? What is that? What is that size? Now, if the size is small, they will not give more because it will overflow. They will only give as per the size. Now, it's my part as a disciple that I carry a big container and also a container without holes. Because if there are holes, they'll put mercy and it will all flow down. So I have to carry a container, solid container without holes and big enough so that more can come in. So here Narada is saying because of these qualities of mine, they blessed. Certainly, they got inspired to give more to me, much more than what I would have received otherwise. So it's something nice for us to meditate upon these qualities, that we should cultivate these qualities, be self-controlled, not be engaged in frivolous activities, and of course, not speak more than required. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, all the Vedas are searching after me. Lord Sri Chaitanya says that in the Vedas, the subject matters are only 3, namely to establish the relationship of the living entities with the personality of Godhead, perform the relative duties in devotional service, and thus achieve the ultimate goal back to Godhead, Sambandha, Videya, and Prayojan. As such, Vedantavadis, or the followers of the Vedanta, indicate the pure devotees of the personality of Godhead. Such Vedantavadis or the Bhakti Vedantas are impartial in distributing the transcendental knowledge of devotional service. To them, no one is enemy or friend. No one is educated or uneducated. No one is especially favorable and no one is unfavorable. The Bhakti Vedantas see that the people in general are wasting time in false, sensuous things. Their business is to get the ignorant mass of people to reestablish lost relationship with the personality of Godhead. By such endeavor, even the most forgotten soul is roused up to the sense of spiritual life, and thus being initiated by the Bhakti-Vedantas, the people in general gradually progress on the path of transcendental realization. So the Vedanta Vadis initiated the boy even before he became self-controlled and was detached from childish sporting, etc. But before the initiation, the boy, became more and more advanced in discipline, which is very essential for one who wishes to make progress in the line. In the system of Varnashrama Dharma, which is the beginning of actual human life, small boys after 5 years of age are sent to become brahmacharis at the Guru's ashram, where these things are systematically taught to every boy, be he a king's son or the son of an ordinary citizen. Now, it is something very important for us to note. Brahmachari life is not just about being away from women. Sometimes people think that brahmachari life means you don't associate with opposite sex. Brahmachari life means basically a life of discipline, not just being away from women. At home, a person cannot remain disciplined. Why? Because the parents, they are always ready to give more affection than needed. They are always ready to pamper the child more than it is needed. They cannot exercise discipline because of their parental affection. So that will spoil the child. Instead of eating 2 chapatis, the mother will make him eat 4 chapatis. And that will not help the child to be sense controlled. So that's why he has to be sent to a particular environment which is designed to teach discipline, which is designed to teach living a life where you try to reduce your requirements, where you try to control the senses, to master the senses. So it's not just about being away from the opposite sex. The whole idea is in all aspects of my life, whether it's eating, whether it is sleeping, whether it is talking, whether it is seeing, whether doing anything or everything, I have regulation, discipline. I don't overdo it and I don't underdo it. So that's why they're put in an environment, a gurukul, where there'll be a trainer who will train the person in that direction. And that trainer acts in that manner for a purpose. Not that the trainer is hard-hearted or cruel, but that the trainer knows, okay, I have a goal, I have a mission, I have to bring this boy to this kind of caliber, this kind of mentality, this kind of lifestyle. So they're put in that environment to learn that. So a person becomes, in this way Prabhupada says, that the training was compulsory not only to create good citizens of the state, but also to prepare the boy's future life for spiritual realization. The irresponsible life of sense enjoyment was unknown to the children of the followers of the Varnashram system. What is meant by irresponsible life of sense enjoyment? Anytime watch television, anytime go out play, anytime you are hungry, open the fridge and eat the food. Whether it's night 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock. People eat food at that time also, right? They just go to the fridge, open the fridge, whatever is there, take out and then start eating. Doesn't matter what is the time. So anytime do that. And that's how the modern kids are brought up these days. They can do anything and everything. No discipline, no routine to be followed. And why should they follow? The parents are also the same. Why they should follow? Parents are non-different. They are also same. They also do the same thing. So that's why there is no discipline. And when there is no discipline learned, when they become devotees also, then there is no discipline in their sadhana. Someday they'll get up at 3 o'clock and start chanting. Someday they'll get up at 10 o'clock. Right? Someday sleep on time. Someday stay awake till 2 o'clock. No discipline, no regulation. So that's very unhealthy for spiritual progress. Further, it's written, a boy was even injected with spiritual acumen before being placed by the father in the womb of the mother. That's about Garbhadan Sanskar. Both the father and the mother were responsible for the boy's success in being liberated from the material bondage. That is the process of successful family planning. It is to beget children for complete perfection. Without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. Prabhupada mentions that without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go back to Godhead. No one is able to go back to Godhead. So one has to learn these things. That's why when we get old, it gets late. It's better if people become devotees when they are young. Because when you get old, it's difficult to change. Even if one wants to change, it's very difficult. But when people are young, they can change. They can develop the required qualities. Otherwise, it becomes a big struggle. One cannot change oneself much. The brain wiring is already fixed. Now it cannot be changed. So these three things are there: self-control, discipline, and obedience. That helps one to become qualified to go back on back to Godhead, to follow. Uchishtalepānanumodito dvijaihi sakritsma bhunje tadapasta kilvishaha evam pravittasya vishuddha chetasas tadharma evatma ruchi prajayate. Once only, by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing all my sins were at once eradicated. Just by eating once Mahaprasadam, all the sins were eradicated. We have eaten so much Mahaprasadam. So, but his sin was eradicated just by eating once Mahaprasadam. The reason why? Because of, again, the quality. Thus being engaged, I became purified in heart. And at that time, nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. So this is so interesting and important for us to understand that he got the mercy, he got the seva, he developed faith, he got shelter of Guru or Ashray. And after that, he took the prasadam, Mahaprasad, and that purified his heart. And when his heart got purified, what is the symptom of a purified heart? How do you know that the person's heart is purified? He says, at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. Now, this has to be understood. What is that? If we are really sincerely working on the path of Krishna consciousness, the heroes in our life should change. The ideal models in our life should change. Our ambitions should change. Our role models should change. We should want to become like the great Vaishnavas, the great sadhus. Not that we want to become great, but we start liking that kind of, nature, those desires, those tendencies. We start relating with that. People in this world, they have so many ambitions. I want to become a cricketer, a scientist, or this person inspires me, or that person inspires me. I'm so much, I'm so much awed and I'm so much wonderstruck if I look at the activities and the achievements of this person, this singer, this cricketer, this politician, this businessman, so and so. But for those who are actually making progress in Krishna consciousness, they will say, oh, I'm inspired by Srila Rupa Goswami. I'm inspired by Raghunath Das Goswami. I'm inspired by Krishna Das Kaviraj. I'm inspired by Bhakti-vaibhava. I'm inspired by Srila Prabhupada. I'm inspired by the disciples of Prabhupada. If I want to become like someone, I want to become like them. That's what inspires me. They are my role models. They are my heroes. I worship them. I adore them. I admire them. I want to read about them. I want to know about them. I want to tell people about them. That nature of pure devotion will become attractive. That's what we will want to do, and that's what we will want to have. Yes, I wish I can join the transcendental Sankirtan party of Srila Prabhupada. I wish I can be a part of mission of Prabhupada. I wish in some life I can travel with Srila Prabhupada and preach the message of Krishna consciousness. I wish I can be like that. So that such desires, when they start coming, then we should know, oh, something is happening inside. The process is working because my desires are changing. And when the desires are changing, then that future is coming soon because Krishna gives what we desire. And that will happen also. So here Narada is saying, because of that, their nature became attractive to me. What does it mean? Now he started desiring, if I grow, I want to become like these Bhakti-Vedantas. I want to have devotion like them. I want to love Krishna like them. That's what I want. So that attraction will develop. How? By that service, by that mercy. It will become tasteful. That's why I wonder so much why the members of ISKCON, they don't get time or they do have no interest in reading about the life of Srila Prabhupada. We ask so many of them, they have not yet read Prabhupada Leelamrita. Why? Why is it not interesting to read about the life of our founder Acharya? To know what he did when he was born, how did he preach? Why is it not interesting? Why it doesn't catch our attention that we should read it? Why? Are we not connected to him? Are we not related to him? So it should become attractive. It should inspire us. It should be so interesting for us. Then such desires will make us go closer to Krishna. Here Narada is saying that nature became attractive. Purport. Pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as infectious diseases. A pure devotee is cleared from all kinds of sins. The personality of Godhead is the purest entity. And unless one is equally pure from the infection of material qualities, one cannot become a pure devotee of the Lord. The Bhakti-Vedantas, as above mentioned, were pure devotees, and the boy became infected with their qualities of purity by their association, and by eating once the remnants of the foodstuff taken by them. Such remnants may be taken even without permission of the pure devotees. They are sometimes pseudo-devotees, and one should be very much cautious about them. There are many things which hinder one from entering devotional service, but by the association of pure devotees, all these obstacles are removed. The neophyte devotee becomes practically enriched with the transcendental qualities of the pure devotee, which means attraction for the personality of Godhead's name, fame, qualities, pastimes, etc. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of pure devotion, always in the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. This is the crux, this is the test, that it's not about just being happy in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes people say, if you are happy in Krishna consciousness, you are being great. Happy in what kind of Krishna consciousness? Happy in mixed Krishna consciousness? Krishna consciousness mixed with karma and jnana? That's pretty easy. To be happy in mixed devotional service is very easy because one's material desires are getting fulfilled. That's not great deal. But when you say happy in Krishna consciousness, it means happy in the practice of pure Krishna consciousness. Are you happy in that? Or are you not really ready for that? That's the point. So here Prabhupada says one should become, one should get the taste of pure devotion always in the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. So I'm chanting Hare Krishna, but what kind of name am I chanting? I'm hearing Srimad-bhagavatam. How am I hearing? I'm preaching the message of Krishna, but in what mode and what mood am I preaching? If it is pure devotional attitude, and in that attitude I am happy, I am satisfied, that means yes, I am quite successful in Krishna consciousness. But if it is mixed devotional service, and then I say, I am quite happy, why will you not be happy? If the belly is full, why will you not be happy? If material desires are fulfilled, then why will you not be happy? You will be happy. But here the idea is, am I happy in pure devotional service of Krishna? If that really satisfies me, that's the test. Means, to give a more graphic example or easy example to understand, then when it is Nirjala Ekadashi and I am fasting, if in that day I can chant Hare Krishna happily, smilingly, and I can dance in ecstasy for Krishna's pleasure, that means, okay, yes, really, I am happy in pure devotional service. But when in such state we are morose, we are fainting, right? We are in anxiety, whether I live for tomorrow or not, what will happen to me, right? And anyone looking at our face can understand this person is fasting today. This person is somehow struggling today. That means we are not really happy. We are not really happy. We do it forcefully because we are supposed to do it, but we don't enjoy doing it. We do it because we are told you should do. And if you don't do, then our name will go bad because others are doing. So we have to do also, right? Sometimes because of peer pressure, everyone is doing and come on, I am not doing, very bad. My juniors are doing, I am not doing, I should do, right? But are we very happy on that day? So that's what will decide, yes, this person is situated in pure Krishna consciousness. So this transcendental taste at once makes all things distasteful. Therefore, a pure devotee is not at all attracted by material activities. After the elimination of all sins or obstacles on the path of devotional service, one can become attracted, one can have steadiness, one can have perfect taste, one can have transcendental emotions. So Prabhupada is just talking about the different stages. First anartha nivritti, then nishtha, then comes ruchi, then comes asakti, then comes bhav, and at last one can be situated on the plane of loving service of the Lord. All these stages developed by the association of pure devotees, and that is the purport of this stanza. So by eating the remnants, the heart became purified, which means what? Anartha nivritti happened. You know, by eating the remnants, the heart became purified. Anartha nivritti happened. And then from that came the further stages. Nishtha came, then came ruchi, then came asakti. So the heart has to be first purified. Then the next stages will come. What happens next? Next verse 26. Tatranvaham Krishna katha pragayatam anugrahena shrinavam manohara tashaddhayame nupadang vishinvataha priyash tavashyangama bhavat ruchihi. O Vyasadeva, in that association and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna. And thus, listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of Godhead increased at every step. So now they came taste, rati or bhav, asakti, attachment. Lord Shri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is attractive not only in his personal features, but also in his transcendental activities. It is so because the absolute is absolute by his name, fame, pastimes, form, entourage, paraphernalia, etc. The Lord descends to this material world out of his causeless mercy and displays his various transcendental pastimes as a human being, so that human beings attracted towards him become able to go back to Godhead. Men are naturally apt to hear histories and narrations of various personalities performing mundane activities. without knowing that by such association, one simply wastes valuable time and also becomes addicted to the three qualities of mundane nature. This is so important, and we can see that happening these days, that people, they are so much into this social media, going to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and watching all kind of useless stuff. I mean, it's not that only if I watch something which is against four regulatory principles, that's considered wrong. I watch anything or I hear anything which is not related to Krishna consciousness, that's waste of time. If you're watching a video where it shows how a dam is constructed, you may say, well, there's nothing wrong about it. There's so much wrong about it. You're wasting your time. That time that should be used in Krishna Seva. What will you get by watching the construction of a dam? Or you watch any video on Facebook about something happening in this part of the world or that part of the world. It may be interesting. It may be something which is unique, extraordinary, and catching our attention. But if it is not related to Krishna and Krishna's Seva, it is waste of time. That's called prajalpa, right? So it's not, we have to be, as sadhakas, very careful. How do we use our time? And where do we put our time? What do we see? Where is our attention? That has to be very, very properly adjusted. So I see so many devotees doing that. They waste their time in Facebook, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and do what? Just like some posts, like and share, like and share, like and share. That's all happens throughout the day. They don't even watch any video completely. They're here for 2 minutes, either like it or dislike it, or just neglect it and go to the next one. Then again, go to the next one, again, go to the next one. Wasting time. Wasting time. Frivolous mind. One should not have a frivolous mind. If there is something nice to watch it fully. And if there's nothing nice in it, then why watch it anyway, just for even 1 second? One has to be intelligent enough to look at the title of the video, to look at the speaker of the video, and then watch it. If you have to open the video and decide whether the video is going to be good or bad, then you are really not a good decision maker. You should know what is the title. Is it needed for me to watch this video? Who is the speaker? Is that an authority that I'll get correct knowledge? Right? But people just want to see what will gratify my ears, what will gratify my eyes. If it gratifies, I watch. If it doesn't gratify, I go to next. That's not really good for someone on the path of Krishna consciousness, right? One has to be very careful. So here, it's written, instead of wasting time, one can get spiritual success by turning his attention to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. This is so important. This I am telling you from my personal life. I have seen devotees who are very particular about their time management. They make rapid progress in Krishna consciousness. Rapid progress in Krishna consciousness because they are investing into it thoughtfully. We all have time, and we have sufficient time to become really, really Krishna conscious. Just the point is, we waste that time in useless things. We don't invest it properly. Even after doing what one's duties are, one can find good amount of time to practice Krishna consciousness. But we waste our time heavily in doing things that we should not be doing, in talking to people to whom we should not be talking, by reading things which we should not be reading, by watching things which should not be watching. We waste our time. If you don't do that, there is sufficient time to practice good Krishna consciousness. And why I say so? Because I also worked in Mumbai. I used to work for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours a day. But still, I used to get time. Go for Mangalarati, chant 16 rounds, every day read for 2 hours, 3 hours, hear lectures for 2 hours, cook for myself, wash my clothes, do everything and still get time. And people say we don't get time. Why we don't get time? Because we waste our time in so many things, uselessly, not keeping a track. Where is it going? So if we just do that, we become more time conscious. Where are we investing it? And how can I save even 5 minutes? How can I save even 10 minutes? How can I save even, half an hour? And use that time to practice Krishna consciousness, to read, to hear, to preach, to do some seva. Then we'll make progress. Good amount of progress. Rua says here, one should not waste time. Instead of wasting time, one can get spiritual success by turning his attention to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. By hearing the narration of the pastimes of the Lord, one contacts directly the personality of Godhead. And as explained before, by hearing about the personality of Godhead from within, all accumulated sins of the mundane creatures are cleared. Thus, being cleared of all sins, the hearer gradually becomes liberated from mundane association and becomes attracted to the features of the Lord. Narada Muni has just explained this by his personal experience. The whole idea is that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, one can become one of the associates of the Lord. Narada Muni has eternal life, unlimited knowledge, and unfathomed bliss, and he can travel all over the world and spiritual worlds without restriction. That's amazing, isn't it? Travel everywhere without restriction. One can attain to the highest perfection of life simply by attentive hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord from the right sources. This is so simple. But the problem is, we either not hear from the right source, or we hear from the right source and we also hear from the wrong sources. If we just stop that, and we do only this much, that hear from the right source, that itself change our consciousness in short period of time. We have to do both. What is not to be done, give it up. And what is to be done, take it up. That's all. In short period of time, it will clear up all the mess that is inside. All the kachra, garbage will get cleansed. But for that, we have to stop doing the wrong things. What is not healthy for Krishna consciousness, we must stop that. Then the process works very fast, very, very fast, because the process is very potent process. So here Prabhupada is saying, hearing from the right source, as Sri Narada heard them from the pure devotees in his previous life. This process of hearing in the association of the devotees is especially recommended in this age of Vara. Kali. Text 27. Tasming tadalabdha rucher mahamate priya shravasya skhalita mama yayahametat sadasat swamayaya pashyemai brahmani kalpitam pare. Oh great sage, as soon as I got a taste of the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings, for both the Lord and I are transcendental. So became self-realized, Atma Gyan, manifested fully. That I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this intelligence, I am spirit, soul. Got that realization. Ignorance in material existence is compared to darkness, and in all Vedic literatures, the personality of Godhead is compared to the sun. Wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. Hearing of the Lord's pastimes is itself transcendental association with the Lord, because there is no difference between the Lord and his transcendental pastimes. To become associated with the supreme light is to dissipate all darkness, all ignorance. By ignorance only, the conditioned soul wrongly thinks that both he and the Lord are products of material nature. But in fact, the personality of Godhead and the living beings are transcendental, and they have nothing to do with the material nature. When ignorance is removed and it is perfectly realized that there is nothing existing without the personality of Godhead, then nescience is removed. Since the gross and subtle bodies are emanations from the personality of Godhead, the knowledge of light permits one to engage both of them in the service of the Lord. The gross body should be engaged in acts of rendering service to the Lord, as in bringing water, cleansing the temple, or making obeisances, etc. The path of archana or worshipping the Lord in the temple involves engaging one's gross body in the service of the Lord. Similarly, the subtle mind should be engaged in hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, thinking about them, chanting his name, etc. All such activities are transcendental. Again, something very striking and important for us to note. We have to engage both the body and the mind in Krishna's service. Not just that I only engage the body or I engage only the mind. Both have to be engaged. Some devotees, they are so much interested in just working hard or doing labor thing that they only engage in physical seva. They don't want to sit and hear, they don't want to chant, they don't want to read, they don't want to meditate on Krishna's pastimes. That's not wrong, but the point is, if the mind is not engaged in Krishna consciousness, the progress is also going to be very, very slow. One has to engage the mind. So if we have a lot of rajaguna inside, lot of passion, then do more of physical seva, but still do some amount of hearing and required amount of chanting and reading. If we just be working hard like karmis throughout the day and not sufficiently read and hear, our Krishna consciousness is not going to be very potent. We should balance between physical engagement and mental engagement. Mental engagement means read, hear, chant, pray, remember Krishna. Physical engagement means run around, organize for programs, cook prasadam, do this, do that, where the body is engaged, the hands and legs are engaged. In Kali Yuga, people like to do this thing more. They are very passionate. You tell them do seva. Oh yes, I'll do seva. Let them sit and read. I can't. It's boring. I cannot read. But they'll jump around to things. It's nice, but the point is, if the mind is not engaged, then it's not sufficient. And second thing, you cannot jump like monkeys when you're old. Then what will you do? Right? In the young age, you can jump around and do many things. And if when you'll get old, then if you don't cultivate Krishna consciousness on using your mind, then at old age, you will not be able to then remain very composed. That's why young people should try to also practice some kind of, practicing Krishna consciousness, engaging the mind. Otherwise, even what will happen, the body will grow old, but the passion will not go away. And if that doesn't go away, then one will become restless. That's what is happening to most of the old people in present times. They're very restless. They are not composed. And the reason they are not composed is passion is still there inside. They cannot sit at one place and chant. Whereas I have seen my grandfather, he left engagement in business and all that by the age of 55, 60. Grown-up sons are there, they'll take care of. So he would hardly visit the shop. He would just sometimes come to the shop, not talk to the customers, not do any kind of dealing. But then at that age, I saw he was very composed. If he sat down to chant names of Lord Ramchandra, he could chant for hours and hours and not be disturb what is going on around. If he sat down to read, he could read for hours and hours. But you don't see people of Mumbai city, they can do that. They are so restless, so restless. The reason for that is they did not try to control their mind when they were young. They did not put efforts in that direction. And now when you get old, even if you want to jump around, your body will not support you. It will not help you. So one has to be composed. One has to develop that quality that I can just sit and chant. I can just sit and hear. I can just sit and read. Or I can just sit and speak about Krishna. Or I can just sit and remember Krishna. I can do that. So here Prabhupada gives that hint to us that you should engage your body and you should engage your mind. How do you engage your body? By doing different kinds of services. How do you engage your mind? You chant, you read, you hear, you think. All such activities are transcendental. None of the gross or subtle senses should otherwise be engaged. Such realization of transcendental activities is made possible by many, many years of apprenticeship in the devotional service, but simply attraction of love for the personality of Godhead, as it was developed in Narad Muni by hearing, is highly effective. Hearing is quite, not quite, it is actually one of the most effective ways of becoming Krishna conscious quickly. That's why one should hear sufficiently or read sufficiently. It's very important. There is no seva as good as just hearing or reading or speaking about Krishna. There is nothing as good as that seva. This seva actually makes us become absorbed the most. Doing things physically, that is not that purifying than to engage our mind in Krishna consciousness. That's why one should hear, one must read, very important. Text 28. Ittam sarat pravishikavritu hare vishrinvato menusavam yashomalam sankirtyamanam munibhir mahatmabhir bhakti pravittatmarajastamo. Thus, during 2 seasons, the rainy season for 2 months and autumn season for 2 months, I had the opportunity to hear these great soul sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. So passion and ignorance vanished. Prema destroys passion and ignorance. Transcendental loving service for the Supreme Lord is the natural inclination of every living being. The instinct is dormant in everyone, but due to the association of material nature, the modes of passion and ignorance cover this from time immemorial. If by the grace of the Lord and the great souled devotees of the Lord, a living being becomes fortunate enough to associate with the unadulterated devotees of the Lord and gets a chance to hear the unadulterated glories of the Lord, certainly the flow of devotional service takes place like the flow of a river. As the river flows until she reaches the sea, similarly pure devotional service flows by the association of pure devotees till it reaches the ultimate goal, namely transcendental love of God. Such a flow of devotional service cannot stop. On the contrary, it increases more and more without limitation. The flow of devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated from the influence of the modes of passion ignorance. These two qualities of nature are thus removed, and the living being is liberated, being situated in his original position. So this is being spoken about the stage of prema, the final stage. Then one becomes completely liberated from material contaminations. No mode of passion, no mode of ignorance. Completely pure, purified fully. Last, tasyeva menuraktasya prashritasya hateinashaha tadhanasya balasya dantasyanucharasya cha. I was very much attracted to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. These are the necessary qualifications for a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of a pure, unadulterated devotee. Such a candidate must always seek the association of pure devotees. One should not be misled by a pseudo devotee. He himself must be plain and gentle to receive the instructions of such a pure devotee. A pure devotee is a completely surrendered soul unto the personality of Godhead. He knows the personality of Godhead as the supreme proprietor and all others as his servitors. And by the association of pure devotees only, one can get rid of all sins accumulated by mundane association. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success, even in the existing duration of life. These are the signs. So this is to be understood. It should be noted down by us that those people who are actually aiming to go back home, back to Godhead in this one life itself, they are different. They are not like the common crowd of devotees. There are different types of devotees. General devotees, and then there are those who are special devotees. Special means what? Those who are focused, those who know the goal, and they are working for that goal. They are not just those people who are hanging around in Krishna consciousness. Some people are hanging around in Krishna consciousness, which means they like the culture. It's a very nice protective environment, very safe. People don't talk ill words. They respect you a lot. It's a good thing, a happy life, eat nicely, sleep nicely, and good friends, good relationship. Everything's so nice. So they are hanging around and enjoying the atmosphere and environment of Krishna consciousness. But then within the heart, this desire is not burning. That I want to finish my business in this one life. I don't want to take birth again. It's enough. I've done it so many times. No more again. I'm very serious. I want to go back home, back to God in this one life. Such devotees are very less, very rare, and they are different. How they are different? Prabhupada mentioned they will be so focused in developing the good qualities. They'll be so focused in not wasting their time. They'll be so careful with whom they associate and with whom they don't associate. Because they know the goal. That's how we see in material life also. Those who have a goal and they want to meet the goal, those people are different from the ordinary mass, ordinary crowd. Ordinary crowd, you tell them, let's go left. Okay, let's go left. Let's go right. Okay, we'll try right also. Let's spend our time here. Yes, we'll spend our time here also. But those who have a goal, they know when to take the left, when to take the right, with whom to go, with whom not to go, because they are focused. They know the goal, they know the path, and they are very careful of walking on that path. They are counting. I have taken 10 steps, 900 more steps to go. I have taken 50 steps, so many steps more to go. So like that, one has to become, if one wants to go back home, back to Godhead. This thing will not work as we think. Automatically, I'll go. Automatically. Because I am here, I am going. That will not work. That will not work. One has to develop that desire, intense desire, and work in that direction. Then one will go back on back to Godhead. If you look this purport, Prabhupada has used the word pure devotee so many times. Why he did not use the word devotee? Why pure devotee? If it is the same. Why didn't use? He used the word pure devotee so many times in this one purport. Why? If it is the same, devotee or pure devotee, why should he waste the ink? Extra word, why should he write? So he's making it very clear that a sadhaka should be so particular about, as I mentioned before, whom are you hearing from? What are you reading and what are you hearing? What is your goal? Whom are you associating with? How much progress are you making? Are you taking a check and balance of that? Are you thinking in that direction? Or you just get carried away like a leaf gets carried away by the wind. If it's coming from east, you get blown into that direction. If it's coming from west, you get blown into that direction. Are you like that? Or are you like someone who knows in which direction I should be going? And who will know that? That person who knows the process, who understands the process, who understands the path. So this thing has to be understood properly from Srimad-bhagavatam, the process of Krishna consciousness. Going back to Godhead is a science. Prabhupada has told it so many times. It's a science. And that science has to be understood and applied. Then it will give us the result. So we forget many a times. ISKCON is a place where we have come to become purified. Not that we have come here, this is the end. No, we have come here to become purified. Don't think we have come here, now this is the happy ending, finish. No, we have come here to become purified. That has to be not forgotten. That should be remembered, right? That we came here for a purpose. It's a mission. Coming to ISKCON means you are part of a mission. You have joined the mission, but that's not the goal that, okay, I've joined the society, now I have this good Sangha, and I'm a part of this Sangha and finish. That. Now everything achieved, successful. It's just the beginning. It's just a platform. That platform has to be utilized for getting the goal. One may not utilize the platform also. I gave this example before. A university is a platform to be utilized to study and then to pass, to graduate with good result. Some will utilize that platform, some will not utilize that platform, right? Isn't it? Some university students, they really study hard and they achieve their goals. Some go there just to make girlfriends and boyfriends. Some go there to just pass their time. So likewise, ISKCON is a platform where we are coming, but then we have come there to reach somewhere else, to get to some goal. That has to be remembered. And who is our friend? That person who will help us go there. And who is our enemy? That person who will not help us go there. That person is an obstacle. That person is not really helping me. So that Sangha will be called Asat Sangha. Asat Sangha within Sadhu Sangha is also possible, if those sadhus are not real sadhus. So one has to know what kind of Sangha am I doing. Just like in Bhagavad Gita we study, right? There is karma in akarma and there is akarma in karma. There is karma in akarma and akarma in karma. Likewise, there can be satsang in asatsang and asatsang in satsang. If one is not careful, there can be. Like you come to Sangha of Sadhu and then you criticize other Vaishnavas, that is asatsang in satsang. You came to the right place, but you did not do the right thing. So it is asatsang in satsang. But you meet a materialistic person and talking to that person, you begin to understand this world is a horrible place. I should take my Krishna consciousness seriously. Then that is satsang in asatsang. That person was not a sadhu, but you became inspired to become a better devotee by some momentarily contact with him. So one should know that. One should know what am I doing? We think I am with devotees, eating nicely, talking, joking, playing, spending my time. This is sadhu sangha. This is sadhu sangha. Go to the temple, ask them, how's your husband, how's your children, everything fine, right? You're happy, I'm happy, and then talk some things, sadhu sangha. This is sadhu sangha. This is not sadhu sangha. This is simply socialization within ISKCON. That's all. How can I make a greater sansar? A greater sansar means greater bonds on material platform within the society of Krishna consciousness. That's not sadhu sangha. So one should not miss the goal. Very important. Otherwise, it's like we are spending so much time. We are part of the organization. We go to temple. We attend the programs. But after doing so much, We are not changing. We are the same. Our aspirations are not changing. So we are not really utilizing our time properly, not putting energy in the right direction. So this has to be very much done. And this is happening now more. You know why? Because in the past, people did not have so much of chance or opportunity to socialize. But in the modern times, it's very easy, very, very easy. In the past times, people had so much work to do. They had such responsibilities. I have to clean the house, I have to milk the cow, take care of children, I have to go to my work area or farm, then that's so many kilometers away. I need to walk all the way. So people would get physically tired more. People would be so much occupied. They did not have time to just sit and talk to people. If they spoke when it was needed. But because now we have such comfortable, luxurious life and we don't have to do much work, people just come together and blah, 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 blah. And they say, this is sadhu sangha. This is association. Wasting the time. Right? So this thing has to be understood from the purpose. Okay, we'll stop here. Any questions? Ravindra Sachiputra Prabhu. Can unmute yourself? Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, Prabhuji, thank you again for a nice class. You have been hitting the same point hard into us, same point in giving different angles every time. Very and bewildering to understand. Many of you are trying our best. My question is on only one query, that is on text 22, and that also on the translation part, those 4 lines. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement. So I could not understand this infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerity, study of Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymn, etc., culminates into the transcendental descriptions of the Lord. So the 2 queries here are, Prabhuji. One is that what is the meaning of positively concluded that the infallible purpose of advancement of knowledge? And my second question in this only is that we have learned that all paths do not lead to the same goal. But here it is hinting that all these paths like austerities, etc., are all culminating into the same goal. So how do we understand both these? Hare Krishna.
Here, first of all, when Srimadbhagavatam says about infallible purposes, what he wants to say is, for doing anything, there can be so many purposes. But if you make that purpose as Krishna consciousness, then that will become an infallible purpose, which means a purpose which will be really, really achieved or attained, and you don't have to fall from that goal. Anything we do in this world to achieve something, that something that we make the goal is not the permanent thing. We lose that thing in due course of time. But if we achieve the goal of Krishna consciousness, then that is something permanently attained. You don't fall from that. So it's called infallible purpose. And then when he says that all these things, the purpose of that is it should culminate in the transcendental description of the Lord. We should know austerity can be performed rightly and in a wrong manner. Study of the Vedas can also be done in a right manner and wrong manner. Advancement of knowledge can also be in the right direction and wrong direction. So what he means to say is that if someone does these things in the right manner, then gradually it will lead to that kind of conclusion that I should take to pure Krishna consciousness. Right? But if people don't do it rightly, it's not that then automatically again it will lead to that conclusion only, that end only.
Prabhuji, you mean rightly and wrongly? By the word rightly, you are underlining the fact that rightly means that with Krishna consciousness involved in it, like that?
Yes, like in Bhagavad Gita, when we study about austerity in 3 modes. We study about charity in 3 modes, right? So you'll call all of them as charity, but not all kinds of charity will give the same result,
Okay.
right? Isn't it? So if it is charity in goodness, it will lead to evolution, gradual development. But if it is charity in passion, ignorance, then it will degrade the person. So if these things are done in the right understanding and in the right manner, then gradually it will lead to a better level of consciousness and ultimately will lead to Krishna consciousness. Isn't it? Yes, Mrindavan Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Prabhu. Prabhuji, I have two questions. The first one is related to 20 shloka, 20th verse.
Yes,
Here we see that Prabhupada, while writing the purport, he refers to Krishna as conception of Mukunda. Is there any specific reason why he is using Mukunda? Because generally we try to deride Mukti and all that, and Mukunda is the one who gives Mukti. Like, I don't know, I'm just asking you, is there any significance behind that? And second of first question only. Here he is using that Lord is a transcendental form of eternity, cognition, and beauty. Generally, we associate it with Satchit and Ananda, bliss. So why he is referring to beauty there? These two are of first question. Second one I'll ask later.
I have never thought about that. Maybe I have to give some time to study that. Why he's using the word Mukunda. One reason of using the word Mukunda could be that he wants to direct the attention of the impersonalists that the Supreme Lord is the giver of liberation. Because when Narada is talking about this concept in verse 20, that the Lord is himself this cosmos and is aloof from it, he is addressing a particular audience. Generally, we study in Bhagavad Gita, there are three types of jnanis, ekatvam, and then the next one was, what was that? Ekatvam, bahu, ekatvam, and then there was one more, and there was Vishwato Mukham, three kinds of jnanis we talk about in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse number, I'm not sure which verse it is. So those who are worshippers of the universe, they identify the universe as the supreme, the cosmos. They are one kind of jnanis. Those who think that the universe in itself is the Supreme Lord, the Almighty Param Satya. So those kind of people come into the category of jnanis. And jnanis are those who are interested in liberation. So when we have verses in Srimad-bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, which is comparing the cosmos to the Supreme Lord, then it is actually addressing that kind of audience. A pure devotee of Krishna is not so much interested in looking at the universal form of the Lord. He is very much interested in just appreciating the beauty of Krishna in his Archa Vigraha form, or in the name, in his name, or in his pastimes, and all of that. But those who are jnanis, they are that kind of jnanis, Vishwato worshippers of Vishwato the universal form. They are interested in that concept. Here, when Narada Muni is trying to compare the cosmos with the Supreme Lord, as we see, the Supreme Personality of God is himself this cosmos, and still is aloof from it. He is actually trying to bring those people into the fold, or trying to speak about those people, that kind of people. And what are they interested in? They are interested in liberation. Prabhupada, anywhere he uses the word Mukunda in his writings, is always in relation to the word liberation, because Mukunda is one who gives liberation, right? He's the provider. That's the specific meaning of that name. So perhaps that is the reason why Prabhupada has brought in that name here, that for a pure devotee, the conception of Mukunda is both personal and impersonal. The impersonal cosmic situation is also Mukunda, because it is the emanation of the energy of Mukunda. So that might be the reason. And then another question which you have is, why Prabhupada says here that is that the Supreme Lord is full of knowledge and cognition. Cognition is knowledge, eternity, and beauty. Well, yes, it should be bliss, Satchit Ananda. That's the general nomenclature, Satchit Ananda. So it should be is full of eternity, cognition, and bliss. That should be the thing. But he's used the word beauty. Why? Again, I have to check why. But then what comes to my mind is Ananda or bliss is is a derivative of the 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 opulences of Krishna. If Krishna would not have those opulences, he would not be beautiful, he would not be strong, or he would not be having those qualities, then that Ananda feature would also not be there. Beauty leads to Ananda because everything about him is beautiful, that leads to happiness or that leads to bliss. So it's a derivative of that basically. If it is ugly, how can it be blissful? It has to be beautiful to be blissful. So that may be the reason why Prabhupada put that word here, that it's a form of beauty, cognition, eternity, and beauty. And because it's beautiful, it is blissful.
Yes, Prabhu. It actually makes sense. Thank you so much. Prabhu, the second question is, we have so much of emphasis, and you also emphasized the importance of Shravanam. And even when we come across the Navada Bhakti, it begins with Shravanam. But in the present day, I don't know, YouTube and all have become our acharyas. All the serious devotees, they'll be listening to so many vaktas. And finally, there's so much of confusion. And I was just trying to analyze it, how it was earlier. Like when they go to Gurukul, they will be listening to only one Guru. They will not be flooding their mind with so many people. But it does not mean that the Shravanam was less. Perhaps it is somewhere like, I'm just sharing my understanding, kindly correct me. So I was just wondering, does Shravanam include observing also? Like we are observing the Acharya, serving them with all humility. And as we serve, we are hearing so many instructions, and whatever they are discussing, we get the opportunity to hear. That is basically Shravanam, not what we go on listening on YouTube or from all and sundry. Like one moment they're listening to Amrendra Prabhu, second moment they're listening to some other. So I'm not against them, but I'm just trying to understand for my own benefit and improvement.
Yes,
Kindly
Madhu.
enlighten,
It's an
Prabhu.
important question which you asked and a good observation. What goes on in the name of Shravanam these days is more of entertainment. It's not Shravanam. It is mere entertainment. It should sound nice. That's all. If the speaker is speaking in a way that it sounds nice to you, then I like to hear that speaker. Shravanam is not that. Shravanam is basically you should get instructions and then you should apply those instructions in your life. That is Shravanam. It's not just hearing. It's not just letting the sound touch the ear drums and create some kind of sensation. That's not Shravanam. So Shravanam means I hear the instruction. So look at Prabhupada. He spoke for 40 minutes. You hardly find any lecture which is more than 40 minutes, 40, 45 minutes. He never spoke for 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hours. Forget it. Right? But people heard that and people got so much transformed. Why? And now people are hearing so much, but they don't change much. The reason is they take to hearing as an entertainment process. We have to entertain ourselves by hearing some nice katha. Right? And if the kathakar can speak in that sweet, melodious manner with some flute background sound, or birds chirping, so they'll say, this is very nice. I like to hear. But what did you take from there? How did you apply that instruction in your life? That is not Shravanam. That is only entertainment. And it's good to have some entertainment in life because life becomes interesting if you have entertainment. There's no problem in entertaining oneself. But that is not really Shravanam. Shravanam means you hear, catch the instructions, and you apply. That's Shravanam. Otherwise, it's just like people like to hear. So those are materialistic. They like to hear radio. They like to hear different things coming in the television. They like to hear the news. So I like to hear about Krishna. Right? But I don't like to hear when people tell me that you should get up early in the morning and change your rounds, right? Or you should sleep on time. or you should not waste your time. I don't like to hear all those things, but I like to hear some sweet things. So that's entertainment, because you are hearing only what you like, which means you will remain where you are, right? When you start hearing what you don't like, but it is good for you, then you will grow. And when you hear what you like to hear, you'll stay where you are. So that's not hearing. So there's nothing wrong in hearing 24 hours a day, but we should hear for half an hour or 45 minutes in a manner that we are really hearing. Now, we are really taking instructions that, okay, today I heard this and from tomorrow I'm going to be on it, applying it. At least one thing or two things or three things. If that is done, then I've heard. If that is not done, then it's just that I spend my time in some kind of entertainment. That is not Krishna, that is not called hearing. It's not going to benefit so much, because you see, we have to observe carefully. There are so many Bhagavad Kathas going on. I'm not talking about ISKCON devotees, even non-ISKCON people. They do so many talking, so many hours of talking and talking and talking and talking, and in thousands of people, they flung to that program and they sit and they hear for 4 hours, 8 hours, from morning till evening. But when they come back home, they are the same. There's no change. No change at all. Because they don't know what hearing means. And the speaker also don't speak in that manner, right? It's very sad. Many of the speakers who speak Krishna Katha, they don't speak Krishna Katha way that would disturb the ego of people, because they want to have the audience come again and again. Right? But a real preacher is someone who should shake the people's consciousness from one's words, should make them think that I'm doing something wrong and I should change. Right? If that is not done, then we are not creating any revolution in the heart of that person. We are just making that person feel you are good, stay good. And another thing which we see is that many speakers, they will project the wrong on the people who are outside the society. Like the karmis are like this, the jnanis are like this, the mayavadis are like this, but what about you and me? Why always blame the karmis, the jnanis and the mayavadis? Talk about yourself also and talk about myself also. Means, how am I going to grow in Krishna consciousness? So instead of targeting the audience, they would just target people around. They will target the Christians, the Muslims, the non-devotees, the non-ISKCON crowd. But what about the ISKCON crowd sitting in front of you? Educate that person, train that person, tell that person where he or she is wrong. But we don't want to do that, right? So that's not really hearing. It doesn't help. So as a listener, we should be very careful about what we listen. And as a speaker also, we should be careful that we speak in a balanced manner, not that we fry people totally, or we just pamper them by what we speak. We have to give them a balance. They should have a takeaway message, something to learn and change, apply on oneself and change. Then we have done something. Otherwise, just sitting and talking and talking and talking and talking and thinking people will become benefited by that. It's not going to work. It's not really going to work. If the benefit is there, how is it really sane of us to think that someone is sitting in the katha for 3 hours and that person is crying, oh, such a nice katha, and after 2 days he goes to the home and gives divorce to his wife. So what katha did you hear, Baba? How did your heart get purified? Isn't it? Srila Prabhupada always said, Phalena parichiyate. The result will show. The result will show what is the level of input, isn't it? So that has to be always seen, the result. After hearing so much, reading so much, what is the result? And we don't think about it. We never think that I'm not getting the result which is supposed to come, then there is something wrong. Either I'm not hearing from the right source, or I'm not hearing the right thing, or I'm not hearing in the right manner. We never think about it. So if people ask me about myself, I am very particular about whom I hear from. I don't hear from everyone. There are very good speakers in ISKCON, but I don't hear from all. I don't do that. Even if they're very popular and famous, I don't. I hear from very selected people when it comes to my personal hearing. Otherwise, I hear from whoever is giving the class. You go to the class and every time there'll be a new person speaking. So you hear, you're in Vrindavan, then you hear someone, you're in Mayapur, you hear someone, you're in Bombay, you hear someone. When it comes to but hearing with a purpose, then I am very particular about whom am I hearing from. When it comes to hearing with a purpose, then I have my selected list of people whom I like to hear from. And I only hear from them, so that I am focused and I am able to develop a relationship with them, because I can understand when I hear them, what do they emphasize on, what do they repeat about, what do they practice and what do they speak about. So then we can relate with that, because you have seen those people, you have observed them acting in a certain manner, and you hear about that in their classes, so you can relate with that. And then it can make some sense to you. So you can practice in your life. So what is happening is people are just collecting information. That's all. Hear one lecture after another, just collect some data, so that I can jot it down. And when I have to give a class, I can speak it. How many devotees read the books because they want to read it for themselves? So there are so many devotees in ISKCON, they open the book when they have to give a class. Right? And this is something interesting which I was giving a class to some devotees in China today. So I spoke to them. In Manusmriti, there are 6 engagements given of a brahmana. Yajan, Yajan, Patan, Padam, Dan, Pratigraha. It's clearly written there, a true brahmana is someone who does the first 3 things more than the second 3 things. Which means what? He does fire sacrifice at his home for his purification more than doing fire sacrifices for others. He does patan, studies for personal purification more than just going and giving katha to others. And he does dan more than taking donations. But in Kali Yuga, just the opposite happens. They'll not do a fire sacrifice at their home, but if they have to do a fire sacrifice at someone's marriage ceremony, at someone's birth ceremony, funeral ceremony, griha pravesh, they'll go, they'll run, right? If they have to study for their own benefit, they will not, they will sleep. But if they have to give a class, they will study. And Brahmana in Kali Yuga means you don't have the words, you have the only word called take. That's Brahmana in Kali Yuga. The word give does not exist. That is blocked. There's only one word, take. But Manusmriti, it says, a real Brahmana is identified if he does or she does these 3 things. Sacrifice for personal growth, study for personal growth, and charity, primarily. After that, secondary is the next 3, right? So the devotees have to understand that hearing, why it should be the purpose of hearing. It should be for self-purification. Study should be for self-purification. When I read the scriptures, I should get instruction from Prabhupada books. You are not doing this, do this. It's written there. I have to find that instruction. It's given there. You are not doing this, do this. Then I should meditate on how can I follow this instruction given by Srila Prabhupada. We have to be in that mode, learner's mode. And that is only possible for a person who is actually humble and a person who knows that the goal is far. I am so away from there and I want to reach that goal. So I have to change myself. Only such a person will put efforts in that direction. But those who are just happy and satisfied the way they are not going to do such things because they are fully okay. I'm fine the way I am. Others are anyway telling me, you are such a nice devotee. So I accept it. I'm a very nice devotee. So that mood has to be changed. One should study here with the idea, I want to change. If that is there, then there are sufficient number of instructions.
Prabhu, may I just share the practical application with respect to women? Because a man's life is different. Like they get to interact, they get to serve the other devotees more so in person. But as a woman, it's very restricted. Like I'm talking about myself, I don't know about others. So um, I had been meditating upon all these things, and I was wondering how can I improve my own self. And I thought it's easier for me because I feel service is very important. Until I serve, I get no opportunity for any of the 9 services that we have to render. So I thought it wise, it's better to serve the devotees that come to my place. And of course, my husband, because he is the one who is immediately available to me and he is engaged. And I find it this is very easy for me. I don't know if I have taken a shortcut or I'm doing the right thing, but this is how I'm doing it. Is it okay, or I should do something else to make it better?
I
I'm
did not get
serious.
Mataji. What did you exactly say in the beginning? What you are doing? Serving the devotees.
Yes, like when we were discussing in the context of Shravanam, Prabhu. So in that context, I'm saying like uh, I'm very particular from whom I'm hearing, and if I'm not able to relate with that speaker, it doesn't make any sense. So, and when it comes to like, as you gave your own example, it's easy for a man to associate, to know more, to socialize more, to go out more. But as a woman, it may not be possible, so much possible for me. So for me, the shortcut that I have chosen is, okay, I have my husband readily available in front of me, and I derive a lot of satisfaction in serving him and all the devotees who come to our place. And through them, as I serve, in the course of serving them, I get to hear so many things. So is that the right kind of Shravanam? Not just Shravanam, I am referring to other activities also. Is that the right approach, or should I make it wide based? If I have to make it wide based, how do I do it with the restrictions of the body of a woman?
No, it's a where that what's wrong with what you're doing? There's nothing wrong about that. I mean, you don't have to really socialize with so many people. Why socialize with so many people? Even if you have the chance to socialize with so many people, one need not do that. It's not that okay, that's an advantage point. What's advantageous about it? Hmm. There's nothing advantageous about it. Actually, the lesser number of people you have in the intimate circle, that's better. Anyway, because you will not get confused. So when you say hearing, if you are hearing from a small, from a very small group of selected people, then there's nothing wrong about it. First thing. Second thing, Shravanam doesn't just mean, okay, you sit in a class and you hear. Shravanam means basically whole day what you are hearing. That is Shravanam. So it's not just about sitting in a class and hearing. If one is, let's say, whole day not hearing, but still one is thinking in the mind what one heard, that is also Shravana. So if we are talking with devotees and it's about Krishna and we are hearing that in the right spirit, that is Shravana. It's not that I have to just sit in a class and hear. You meet a devotee and that devotee shares some experience and it's just a 5-minute interaction in an informal setting, that is also Shravana. So the best thing is we should mold our life in a way that 24 hours a day, what we hear, Everything what we hear is all related to Krishna, right? By putting ourselves in the right atmosphere, right environment, right association, and hearing that, that will inspire us to become a better devotee. That's the whole thing. So if that is not the environment around us, then we have to make some changes or be very choosy and picky what we take, what we don't take, what we reject, what we give up, and what we keep outside. Right? I don't know if I answered your question sufficiently or properly, but I don't think there's any problem in your situation. You don't have to change yourself to create a better situation. That's okay. That's fine. Few people, nothing wrong. I also don't hear from many people. There are so many devotees in ISKCON, but I have a very short list from whom I like to hear. I like to hear from Srila Prabhupada a lot. I prefer hearing from Srila Prabhupada and other devotees, some whom I like or I can relate with. Okay, thank you so much. We'll end here. Sorry for the extra time. Tomorrow is Jagannath Rath Yatra. I don't know if you are celebrating at your places. We are celebrating in Mila Road. So we'll have a good time. Party